Hello and thank you for supporting me. I wish you welcome to my monthly Q&A that I will host on Patreon. I'll start right away with a question from Citizen Kane, which is where we left off. He asks, is Sigma an evolved Gamma? Thank you for your great question. A Sigma isn't necessarily an evolved Gamma, but he can be. A Sigma can evolve from any other type of male if you ask me. Alphas can become Sigmas, Betas can become Sigmas, and even Omegas can become Sigmas. A Gamma male that evolves into a Sigma male is an interesting case, though. I've done a video before on the differences between Gamma males and Sigma males. So what I will do is answer your question based on the differences I've pointed out in that video. The first one is the approach of the dominance hierarchy, in which the greatest difference between the two is that the Sigma male basically embraces and adapts to the hierarchy, while the Gamma male does not, and oftentimes fears and even hates the dominance hierarchy. Think about Elliot Rodger, whose hatred was so deep that he killed 6 people and injured 14 others. I'm not saying that all Gamma males are killers, but it's an example of what hatred cultivated in isolation can bring about. This is the dark side of being a lone wolf. I believe when a Gamma male realizes that his lifestyle makes him miserable and that he needs to change either his behavior or his thoughts and position towards his behaviors, that he may choose to change into a Sigma male. This means that he must overcome his fear and hatred towards the hierarchy and embrace it instead of running away from it. This won't be an easy thing to do, but if he can pull it off, it will be very rewarding. The second one is the concept of solitude. The Sigma male is an adventurer in heart and soul, but loves to retreat when he wants to. This self-chosen isolation he uses for personal growth, so he knows that he will come out stronger and wiser, ready to face the world again. This is quite different with the Gamma male, who doesn't use solitude for personal growth and self-development. He retreats because he fears the outside world, although deep inside he often longs for adventure, but quickly tells himself he cannot do it. I think the position of the Gamma male is a great opportunity to figure out what he really wants. Does he want to use solitude to bathe in misery, held down by all kinds of limiting beliefs? Or will he use his solitude to grow as a person and to pursue a happier and more fulfilling life? There are many different ways that lead out of misery, and evolving into a Sigma male is one of them. The third one is the social and sexual market value. Simply put, the Sigma male gets laid if he wants to, and the Gamma male doesn't get laid. Like I said in that video, the Gamma male could be a typical involuntary celibate. He refuses to mingle because of the fear of being judged negatively, and because he has been judged negatively, he stopped mingling in the first place. When a Gamma male pursues the Sigma lifestyle, he needs to improve his social skills and find a passion, so he builds a healthy sense of self-worth. Also, when you have a mission in life that's not women, you won't feel so rejected if a woman is not interested in you. I mean, who cares? You have your mission anyway. Again, the Gamma male can use his love for solitude to his advantage, to build himself up, and to go out and socialize at the same time. This will change his social and sexual market value for the better. Sigma males who have crossed that bridge in the past are basically evolved Gammas. I hope that answers your question. The next question is by Ik-Jung Kim. And Ik-Jung Kim asks, who is the guy in the video? Is that the same person who is speaking? Just curious. By the way, I really enjoy your videos. Ik-Jung Kim, thank you for your comment and compliment. The guy you see in the video is me. So yeah, it's the same person as speaking. Next question is by Muhammad Ali. Einzelgänger, I would love to hear your opinion on the similarity between a Sigma male and a Stoic. Thank you for your good question, Muhammad Ali. I can think about this for ages, but I won't go into it for too long. Here's what I think. A Stoic is simply a person that follows Stoic philosophy. A Sigma male is a personality type. These are two different things, but there can be overlap between the two. I think every personality type can be Stoic. However, applying Stoicism may alter your personality type altogether. Take the Gamma male for example. When I see a Gamma male, I also see a level of resentment towards the world. Resentment is very unstoic if you ask me. So if a gamma male would rid himself of resentment and develops a healthy indifference towards the world, he will probably transform into something else. He might become an omega male who is, for the most part, at peace with himself and the world around him, although an omega male might sell himself short in life. Another transformation that could take place is that towards a sigma male. Now, besides the whole inner peace and living in the present moment part of Stoicism, there's an other part to it, which is virtue. I think that Stoic virtue can be summarized as living in accordance with nature. Or maybe better defined, living as you are part of a whole and put yourself at service of the whole. This means that according to the Stoics, we should be part of the hierarchy, but they do not mention what layer of the hierarchy we must pursue. Looking at the great Stoic teachers Epictetus, Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, we can conclude that status is irrelevant to be a Stoic. Epictetus was a slave, Seneca was a politician, and Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome. All of them had the same philosophy. Do you see what I'm getting at? The sigma male travels through all layers of the dominance hierarchy, so having a universal philosophy that fits all, like Stoicism, would suit him very well. In regards to virtue, it just depends on the sigma male. When we argue that Batman is a sigma male, I think he is a virtuous person when you look at his deeds, because his life revolves around bettering the world by getting rid of crime. But there are also less virtuous sigma males that are mainly self-serving and not really care about the rest of the world. So comparing a sigma male to a Stoic is like comparing apples and oranges. But I think that Stoicism as a philosophy is very much compatible with the sigma male. Moreover, I think that the sigma male can highly benefit from Stoic philosophy, especially because he likes to spend time in solitude and introspection, and engaging in Stoic exercises will grant him inner peace and focus. Gurpreet Singh responds to the video Stoicism How to Deal with Insults. He asks, but sometimes it is necessary to give reply to insults. But in what case? Thanks Gurpreet, good question. I think it is never necessary to reply to insults unless there's some kind of responsibility expected from your part. For example, you are a restaurant owner and one of your customers complains about the food and insults your cook, saying he is worthless. In that case, you have a responsibility towards both your customer and your cook. You may want to find out if there's truly something wrong with the food, or that the customer is simply an a-hole that loves conflict. No matter what's happening, you are the business owner, so you have to deal with it. Like I said in my video, insults could be an opportunity to better yourself. In that case, lose the feeling of being offended, but keep the lesson. You might even want to thank the insulter for pointing out your flaw. If you have nothing to gain from an insult and there's no responsibility involved towards the insulter or the object or person that is insulted, I think reacting is not necessary. In this case, you don't owe anyone a reaction. You can simply shrug your shoulders and walk away, and spend your energy on more important things. Whether or not you should respond to insults depends on the situation. So it may be wise to develop that ability to judge every situation separately on this. The next question is about the sigma male again, by the Who Gives a Shit channel. The question is, now where does the sigma fit into the job market? That's a challenging question, and I think the answer is simple. He fits everywhere. The challenging part is explaining why. So I'll do an attempt. To some extent, the sigma male is a shapeshifter. I don't say that every sigma male has the abilities to work in any place. Some are more charismatic and are better public speakers, while others are more introverted and better at designing things. This means that you can find sigma males in every area of the job market. However, what characterizes a sigma male is a high level of adaptability. He may not have all the skills, but he can manage to associate and empathize with a great variety of people in different workplaces. So I think a consultant would be a good profession of the sigma male because most of the times consultants deal with many different people. But there are many other things that a sigma male can do. Most likely he will like the idea of entrepreneurship because that will give him freedom. That's why I believe that many businessmen are in fact sigma males. They are highly adaptable, like to be their own boss, have strong social skills and the ability to deal with people from all layers of society. So, a a Sigma male fits everywhere, meaning that he can blend in and is able to connect with people everywhere. In a comment below my video Purposelessness, Blackbird X7777 asks, am I mistaken or the channel is focused on nihilism? Thanks for your question, and you are mistaken. I describe this channel as philosophical entertainment, so it's not focused on nihilism. Currently the main topics of the channel are Stoicism and the Sigma male, which don't have a lot to do with nihilism, if you ask me. I think there's a difference between purposelessness and nihilism. Nihilism is more of a position against the conventional values about the ultimate concern, like the existence of God, and the associated morals and truths. From his nihilistic point of view, the world is in this eternal cycle and without a purpose. Purposelessness, however, is different. An act of purposelessness comes from a place of uncalculated spontaneity. The Taoists call this Wu Wei, which can be translated as non-doing or effortless action. This act isn't based on any ideology, philosophy, or set of beliefs what nihilism actually is. A nihilist, therefore, can be as purposeless as a fundamentalist Christian or Muslim. It's just an act without any intent. So, this wasn't really an answer to your question, but just some ramblings that came to the surface when I read your question. Vivek Rai asks, but what is important according to Stoicism? What does the average Stoic think is important or essential to focus his life energies towards? Vivek Rai, thank you for your great question. What about I'll answer this question in April's Q&A. Everyone, thank you very much for donating and listening. Have a nice day.